Let's say you are in that kitchen store. You're in a nice little local kitchen store and you're trying out knives. They've opened the case for you and you're holding the knife in your hand and they don't have an onion or a carrot or something for you to chop.
First off, I wait for the clerk to look away and I shave the hair on my arm.
No, you don't. The hair on your arm.
I think you should go big and just do your legs. I'm Christine Zier-Clisette.
I'm Kyra Blackwell. And you're listening to The Wirecutter Show.
Kyra, I want to talk about your kitchen.
Okay.
Let's get into it. Do you have a knife set or what's your knife situation?
You're going to be very proud of me. This is the one thing in my kitchen that I do have and I am very proud of. I have a real Japanese knife set, and the only reason it's a nice knife set is because my dad gifted them to me when I graduated from college.
Oh, that's a nice gift.
It was a really lovely gift. So I have a Shun Japanese knife set. It's very nice. It's got 5 knives all in total, and I love them.
Oh, that's lovely.
What about you?
I have some pretty nice knives that I've accumulated over the years. They're kind of a hodgepodge. I don't have a set, but I am going to admit that I don't think I take great care of them. I don't sharpen them enough, and I have lots of people using knives in my house, including my kids. So someone was recently in my kitchen and mistook a piece of slate for a cutting board and started cutting on it. So I know that knife is not doing very well.
We're not naming names.
No, we will not be naming names. But I do think it's probably time to sharpen them.
Yeah, I will say, even though I love my knives, I have never gotten them professionally sharpened. And I'm feeling a little bit lost about it. I think that we have the right person to talk to us about that.
We absolutely do. We are bringing back Lesley Stockton, who is one of our most senior kitchen writers at Wirecutter. She knows a ton about knives. She has worked in professional kitchens for many, many years, and she wrote our guide to chef's knives. So she has tested a ton of knives with a bunch of people. So she's going to really fill us in on everything you need to know about the basic knives that you should have in your kitchen, how to take care of them, how to shop for knives so that you'll be really happy with them.
I can't wait to hear what Lesley has to say about all the things I'm doing wrong. So after the break, you're going to hear from Lesley Stockton. Be right back. Welcome back. With us now is Lesley Stockton, who's a senior staff writer on the kitchen team who spent 20-some years working in professional kitchens, developing recipes, and testing gear. She's also previously been on this podcast to talk about butter, pies, and Thanksgiving cooking gear.
Lesley, welcome back.
Hey, thank you. It's good to be here.
We love having you on the show.
You here.
Let's chat.
And we are going to talk about something you and I have worked on in the past, which is knives. I've edited some of our knife coverage, and I remember working with you on this and realizing I didn't know anything about knives, and my kitchen knives were terrible. So let's start at the very beginning. How many knives do you think you really need to have to get all the things done in the kitchen?
I will say at the very least, have 3 knives.
Okay. And which are those?
Knives?
All right, so that's your chef's knife, which is your classic-looking kitchen knife from cartoons. You know, if you
yeah,
or like Psycho,
or like Psycho,
or
Clue. You know, and that's going to do most of your tasks. Like I can debone a chicken with a chef's knife. I can also cut up a bunch of vegetables, a bunch of apples for a pie. It does most of the things. That's going to be your main knife. The second knife is a paring knife, and it's really nice to have a paring knife if you just want to trim some radishes or you want to cut up something small as a snack.
Can you remind me what a paring knife looks like?
It's that small. It has about like a 3 to 4 inch blade, little handle, you know.
Very, very small.
Yeah,
Whereas a chef's knife is usually like 8 inches long.
Yeah. An 8-inch chef's knife is the best for most home cooks.
And then what's that third knife?
A serrated knife. A serrated knife is great for cutting bread. It's usually called a bread knife. It's also good for...
I cut my tomatoes with a serrated knife.
This is the one with the teeth, basically.
Yeah. I like to break down large, hard squashes with it.
I literally only use my serrated knife for bread.
I think that's perfectly fine, too.
That's fine, too.
Yeah.
Good to know, though. So a paring knife, a chef's knife, and a serrated knife.
Yeah.
So I know generally at Wirecutter, our rule of thumb is don't buy a pre-made kit or set of a lot of things, but knives feels a little bit different. Do you recommend getting a knife set?
I feel like that's a personal choice.
Okay.
Pros for a knife set.
Mm-hmm.
It comes with a knife block. Knife
Which is-
storage is usually tough for folks. So a knife block is the big wooden thing that sits on your counter with slots in it that holds the knives. And it keeps the knives from banging up against each other, getting dull just from being stored in a drawer.
Yeah.
But there are other ways to store knives. That's not the only way. But I think that's an appeal. If it's very important to you that all of your knives match,
Mm-hmm.
get the set. I wouldn't, though.
But on the con side, isn't it true that manufacturers or retailers often sort of cheap out on certain elements of the set? You might get a decent chef's knife, but they might be sort of cutting corners on some of the knives that you're getting in that set, right?
Yeah, you're going to get filler knives.
Yeah.
I just feel like those sets always have more knives than I ever need. There's a lot
Yes.
of knives in those knife sets. It's definitely more than 3.
Oh, definitely more than 3. And then you have, 6 steak knives? I've never needed 6 steak knives in my life.
So take it or leave it. Do
Yeah.
what feels right for you. But you definitely don't need a whole set to have
No.
ample ability in your kitchen. I want to focus in a little bit on the chef's knife. So this is arguably like the most important knife to have and maybe the place to spend the most money if you're going to invest. There are so many different styles, different price points of chef's knives. I think if you were walking into like a Williams-Sonoma or a nice kitchen store, you might be a little overwhelmed by all of the choices. We've had it's the Mac?
MTH 80.
Okay, MTH 80 has been our reigning pick for a long time. Do you think that this is just like universally a great knife for everyone? Or is it kind of like you need to get a chef's knife in your hand to see if it feels right?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
Everyone that I have made use this knife, and I've had a lot of people come and chop a lot of vegetables because it is very important that people of different skill levels, sizes, it's important to me that they all use the knives. I don't think I've ever found anyone in my years of conducting these huge panel tests that didn't love the Mac MTH 80. It's not polarizing at all. Like some knives, like the Global knife is like polarizing because it has that stainless steel handle that's like dimpled. People either love it or they hate it.
I am a lover of
You're
the
a
Global
lover.
knives. They are the right size for my hand. They feel good. I always reach for that in my knife kit. But the Mac knife, that is our main
Everyone
pick.
loves it.
Everybody loves it. People might be familiar with the fact that there are Japanese-style chef knives and there are what we call maybe like German or European style. What is the difference between those two and what is the Mac?
So the Mac is what is called a Western-style Japanese knife.
Oh,
What does
great.
that mean?
So let's go back to what's the difference between a Western style and a Japanese knife. A Western style chef's knife usually has a riveted handle,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can see the rivets in the handle. And when you're talking about like the higher end ones, they have what is called a full tang. And the tang is the piece of metal that the handle attaches to. You don't need a full tang, but that is a characteristic of like especially a German knife.
And people might be familiar with like a Wusthof.
A
That's, like,
Wusthof
the
or a
classic.
Henkel.
Yep.
You know, even a Sabatier, and they market that as like it's a full tang, it is quality, but it really doesn't.
Doesn't really matter that much.
It doesn't really matter that much. And it makes the handle heavier, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
It all comes down to comfort. Now, also, Western style knives have like a more curved cutting edge, which is more conducive to like a rocking motion when you chop. Like if you keep some part of the blade in contact with the cutting board at all times, that's chopping with a rocking motion.
And is the actual blade, like how it's sharpened,
Yes.
different on these Western style?
So, all right. So the edge, the blade and the edge are two different things, right? The blade is the metal that you see, and the edge is what you cut with. And that is what is ground to a sharp point. With European knives, it's called an even bevel, which means each side of that edge is ground to the same angle.
They seem like they look a little thicker.
They are definitely, and the blade itself is also thicker.
Right.
Yeah.
Versus Japanese knives, I found just tend to be they're really, really thin.
Yeah.
But sometimes, and we'll talk about sharpening later in this episode, but sometimes when I've perused getting my knives sharpened because they are Japanese style, the sharpener will ask if it's a single or a double edge.
Yep. A double bevel edge is what you would see in a Western style knife, right?
I see.
Both sides of that edge are ground at the same angle.
Mhm.
An uneven bevel is so when the Japanese knives, one side of the edge is ground to a much more acute angle. Now, here's the great thing about Japanese knives, or not so great, to be quite honest. If you're left-handed, you need to buy a left-handed knife.
Where that's not really a consideration for Western style knives because
No.
they have that even
Yeah.
bevel.
It's the same on both sides.
Mhm.
And just to go back a little bit to the difference between these styles, so presumably with the Japanese style, besides the uneven bevel, you said that the Western style has more of a curve in the blade. So is it a flatter blade?
Yes. Also, a Japanese knife is flatter. With a Japanese chef's knife, which is called a gyuto, you want to do a push-pull
Mhm.
where you bring the knife up off the board.
So is it safe to say for people who aren't professional chefs or just, novices in the kitchen, it would be a better bet to go with a Western style knife?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or a Western style Japanese knife.
Okay, so what does that mean? So if it's Western style Japanese, I'm presuming it's some kind of hybrid between
It
those two.
is a hybrid. So let's take the Mac MTH80. It is a knife with a riveted handle and a full tang.
Okay.
It has not as severe of an arc in its edge, so it's a little flatter. And it has an even bevel.
So you can do a little bit of the rocking. It's easier to sharpen.
It's great for both cutting styles.
I see. It's just versatile.
Right.
It's versatile. And people with large hands put this, before they started cutting, I know I'm just knock my knuckles on the board. I'm like, yeah, I would love to see if you do. And they're like, oh my God, I don't. People with large hands still got great knuckle clearance.
Which can be an
Knuckle
issue. Which can be an issue with some Japanese knives, right? Is
Yes.
that knuckle clearance? Why
Yeah.
maybe people with bigger hands might prefer something like a Wüsthof, a German style, Western style knife.
Yes, and it all depends on how you hold the knife,
Yeah.
right? If you are holding it with your knuckles down, you are probably going to need a Western knife, which gives you more space
More
there.
clearance.
So then can we just talk about, so kind of what you're looking for. You're going to a store to test out knives. How do you know which knife is the one? Do you have a regiment that you go through when you're testing knives where you're like, okay, my knuckles are cracking against the cutting board or it just doesn't feel right. It's too heavy. It's too light. What is your
Should we start
criteria?
with universal?
Yes.
Start with sharpness.
Okay.
The factory edge is arguably the best and longest lasting edge that you might get on your knife. If it doesn't start out with a great edge, don't even bother.
But how do you
'Cause
test
that-
sharpness on a knife?
Yeah,
Well-
if you're, let's say you are in that kitchen store, you're in a nice little local kitchen store and you're trying out knives. They've opened the case for you and
Yeah.
you're holding the knife in your hand, and they don't have an onion or a carrot or something.
Well,
to chop.
tomato.
first
Tomato.
off, I wait for the clerk to look away and I shave the hair on my arm.
No, you don't.
it.
The hair on your arm.
I think you should go big and just do your legs.
You just pull up your sleeve and you just do a little shave to see how close it can get.
Leslie, you're wild for that.
You can run your thumb lightly, perpendicular to the blade. You can also, if you hold the knife blade up with the butt of the handle towards you and just look down and look how it catches the light, you will see imperfections in that blade if they exist. The light will catch a nick or any sort of toothiness going on or any sort of unevenness in the blade. So if you go buy a knife in person, ask to see a few of the same knife. This is the knife I want.
Mhm.
Can I see 3 of this knife? and examine them and look and see, like, make sure that edge is straight, make sure there's no like little nicks or whatever. Get a good one.
Yeah, don't
you know?
just take the first knife they hand you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
I see.
Yeah. Okay, because you will presumably see different imperfections in these 3 different knives, and you
Yeah.
can choose the one you think that looks the least imperfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's great. So you look at the blade, maybe shave a little fur off your arms.
Don't do that. We're going to have everybody in the stores just shaving
Okay.
themselves.
Or like ask them if they'll let you cut a piece of paper.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Or ask like, how can I test this edge? Do you have a way for me to test this knife? I need to know if it's comfortable.
And then how should the handle feel? Like, when do you know, to Kyra's point, that you found the one?
Yeah, it's if you get to test a few of them, you just know.
Mm-hmm. Like, how do you find a spouse? You just
Yeah,
know.
you just know, you just know what like feels best. And I'll add balance to that too, because people will say, oh, it's perfectly balanced. I'm like, well, for whom? Some people say like this is perfectly balanced, and they'll like balance the knife like where the blade meets the handle and it'll just sit there perfectly. I'm like, well, yes, it's balanced like that. But some people like a knife that's more handle heavy. And some people like a knife that's more blade heavy. Again, that's personal preference.
So there's no perfect knife for everyone. You might like a knife that I don't like. It's all individual, which is why ideally it'd be great if you can go try them out, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't have a store that you can go to or whatever, or you don't want to overthink it, the Mac is pretty good.
Yes, and I will add, the knives that we recommend have been the favorites of so many testers throughout the years. So many.
Yeah.
So you probably can't go wrong. Well, I want to talk about price. Like, how much should you expect to spend on a really good knife?
So you can get a really good knife for around $50.
What?
Not like the prettiest knife, but, the Victorinox 8-inch chef's knife is, I mean, if you're outfitting your first kitchen, if you want a knife for camping, if you have like an Airbnb like gear kit,
Oh, yeah.
and it's still sharp and it's still like comfortable.
And what if you want to spend a little more? Let's say this is your forever home knife.
There are 2. There's the Mac, which is my all-time favorite.
How much does that cost?
That's a $155.
That's still not
Not bad.
bad.
It's not.
When you consider it will, if you take care of it, it should last you decades.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. And it's the only knife that we recommend, and I feel like I need to mention this, that has a dimpled blade. And I'm just going to go on the record and say it does nothing. It's not a reason. It's not one of the reasons why we recommend it.
For people who might be confused by what this means, like it's little indents in the side of the blade, right?
that have been like laser etched out. And it's supposed to create air pockets between, your blade so food doesn't stick to the blade. Does nothing. For about $120, you can get a Tojiro Classic, which is another Japanese knife. It's like 8.5. So it's a little longer. It's like a tiny bit longer, and it has like kind of like a wider blade. Like it's kind of good for scooping, and the blade itself is like thinner than the Mac. It's a good knife. It used to be $80, and now it's like $120. So I have to rethink that. I need to get my hands on it again.
Wow.
See if I can. Everything's gone up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's gone up. Wussow Classic Icon, 8-inch chef's knife. If you want a German knife with a more curved edge, you really like that rocking motion when you cut, then that's what you should get. Classic Icon.
We just established that when you're thinking about these 3 basic knives that you should always have, that the chef's knife is where it's worth spending the money. What about the paring knife and the serrated / bread knife? Do you need to really put the money there, or can you get by with a cheaper knife in those categories?
I love a cheap paring knife. I do. The Victorinox 3.25-inch paring knife with a plastic handle, nice thin blade. You can just get one, or you can buy a pack of like 2 or 3, and the price comes down dramatically per knife. When you do that, I think I have too many of these. I love them, though. You don't need to spend a lot on a paring knife. I like a lightweight paring knife because a lot of times I'm using it in hand.
The first Victorinox paring knife I used was actually from my dad's fishing boat, his commercial fishing boat. We had all of these little, we call them red Vickies, and they're red handled, serrated, but they're the size of a paring knife. And I now have some of those in my kitchen from the boat. We've probably had them for over 20 years, and that's the knife I have my kids cut with.
I love the Victorinox serrated.
They are
small knives.
So great. And like, they are really, really great for kids who are like, I had my kids at 4 using those knives, like cutting. Actually, my 10-year-old just made a beautiful Greek salad this week with
that knife.
With that knife. Yeah.
Nice.
I use it to open Amazon boxes. I use it for everything.
I know.
Yeah.
No, it's you can even get a 3-pack of the regular paring knife, the 3 1/4 inch serrated, and then like the longer rounded.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They call it the serrated utility knife. You can get that 3-pack. It's kind of awesome.
And these knives are like, they're so cheap. They're like
so cheap. On Amazon, one Victorinox paring knife is $12. At Williams-Sonoma, a pack of 2 is $12.
Oh, wow. What about the serrated knife? How much do you need to spend on that?
You really don't need to spend much at all. In fact, our top pick costs $17, which is the Mercer Millennia. You really don't need to spend a lot. You don't need a fancy handle. You don't need forged steel. Like, if you want it, go for it. But the most important things about a serrated knife that will really make your life easier is like, you want medium spaced serrations. You don't want them like super close together. And this is for a bread knife. If you're cutting a lot of crusty bread, you want pointed serrations, because the pointed serrations are going to really dig into that crustiness, grab onto it, and like start doing the work.
And what about, I've seen these serrated knives, some of them have like a slightly curved edge, while some of them are really straight.
We only recommend curved edge.
Okay.
Serrated knives, because they are so much more versatile.
Okay, so we just learned a lot. I'm going to do a quick little recap.
Okay.
Basically, it sounds like you really need to put your most focus in your chef's knife. Spend the most money here because it's the knife that you're probably going to be reaching for the most in your kitchen, and it will do the job. So a Western-style knife is going to have a thicker blade and an even bevel.
Yes.
And then a Japanese knife is going to be flatter and thinner, whereas a Western knife is curved.
Yes.
And if you want to pair or like build yourself your own little knife kit, then you should also focus on a paring knife and a serrated edge knife, aka a bread knife.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we're back, we're going to talk about the things you may not have known about how to properly care for your knives, which is maybe just as important as what we just covered. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now that we know the basics about knives, let's talk about how to properly care for them. Lesley, this is where I sin the most in my kitchen. I probably do not take care of my knives the way that they should be taken care of. So we are going to play a quick game of Now You Know. You have actually come prepared with a little test for us, right? Maybe this will reveal something about our characters. Let's see what we know and where we have gone wrong in the past.
Okay. True or false? If your knife is really, really dirty and gunky, it's okay to submerge it in hot soapy water overnight.
No.
No, I'm going to say
False.
no.
That is false.
Okay, false.
Correct.
Why though?
And why?
Well, one, it's just dangerous. And 2,
Dangerous because you might reach in there and cut yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But also, like, water can like seep in between the handle and like the rivet or the tang. It can like get mildewy. It can also cause your blade to rust or tarnish. Just don't do it.
Got it.
Many reasons.
Noted.
Damages like a chipped edge or a bent tip are basically unfixable, and you have to throw it away.
False.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's salvageable.
Yeah.
Right?
But you should probably pay somebody to do that?
Oh, you can't do that yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Send that out to a professional.
There is no good way to store a knife in a drawer.
False. I store my knives in a drawer, and you can do it in 2 ways. I'm going to get extra credit. Are we ready?
I feel like you edited her guide on this. That's cheating.
I should let you answer, Kyle.
Because I was going to say false, unless you have a sleeve for each of your individual knives.
I think that is one answer, right?
Yeah.
Is a sleeve, like a little plastic sleeve.
Okay.
I have the wooden insert that goes in a drawer that has little slots. So it's basically like a knife block, but it's just you rest your knives in these little slots inside my drawer.
That's also a good way to do it. True or false? Go ahead and throw your knife in the dishwasher. As long as it's on the top rack, it's okay to put your knife in the dishwasher.
False.
I'm going to say false.
That's false.
Yeah.
Well, the heat from the dishwasher really damages the handle.
I'm going to admit something. I know that this is not something that is okay to do for your knives, and I don't do it with my expensive chef knives, but I do it with my Victorinox paring knife.
I also do it with my Victorinox paring knives because they're easy to sharpen and we'll
it's like whatever. Okay.
They're cheap, they're easy to sharpen. So
maybe the lesson here is also follow these rules. Definitely for your expensive knives, but as the price goes down, maybe you can just make your own choice there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I have learned that I haven't been a great knife parent, I think.
I mean, we all slip up.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah. But what are some really clear signs that your knives are just in deep, deep despair?
If you can't even get close to piercing a tomato skin.
Oh, I'm there.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm there.
Yeah, get them sharpened. Get them sharpened. Because when you think about it, it's just not safe.
Yeah.
That thing can slip off the tomato skin, and then you can cut yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And can I get a little graphic?
Sure.
Cutting yourself with a sharp knife versus a dull one. It's a difference between a scalpel and a chainsaw.
Ooh. That's nice.
So, somewhat counterintuitively, a sharper knife is going to be a safer knife.
It's a safer cut. It's a clean cut. It's a safer knife.
Okay, we are going to get now into some of the nitty-gritty about maintaining the edge of your knife. A lot of people who buy a knife set will get a honing rod. It's got a handle. It's kind of a round, long tube that is it's got some texture on the outside of it. I think a lot of people think that is used to sharpen a knife. You see it in movies like people running the knife along the edge. Is that really for sharpening?
If there's only one thing your listeners take away from this, it is a honing rod will not sharpen your knife. It does not shave away metal. What a honing rod does. Can we get back to knife edges?
Yes.
Sure. So you look at a knife edge, it looks smooth, but in fact, there's these microscopic teeth at the very tip of the edge. And as you cut, those teeth kind of get out of alignment. They're used some of these teeth, they just kind of bend out of place. And what a honing rod does is that when you run it along a honing rod, it lines those little microscopic teeth right back up. And then voila, it feels sharper.
Okay. It's not actually sharpening the edge.
It's not grinding away
back into place so they will cut more effectively.
Right. Sharpening your knife grinds away metal to create a new edge. Honing your knife realigns those little microscopic teeth.
So how often should someone be honing a knife, using that honing rod?
Before you cook, every single time.
So every single time?
It's just swipe, 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 done.
How do you know, though, the thing I'm always... that sounds like so much work.
Sure.
But the thing I'm always a little concerned about when I use a honing rod is that I'm going to actually dull the knife. How do you know you're doing it at the right angle?
It feels sharper. And also...
once you've done it, the knife feels sharper. If it doesn't feel sharper, you haven't really honed it properly.
Yeah, but okay. If you're scared of honing, in the very beginning, when you're learning how to hone your knife, don't do it with, the honing rod in your hand and you're pulling the knife down towards your hand.
Which I think is what most people think of.
Because that's what you see.
You see people
Right.
doing
It also, it makes me feel like a samurai, and I like that.
Yeah.
And I do it because I'm awesome.
Yes.
But you're also very experienced.
I'm also very experienced. So when you're just starting out, put the tip of the honing rod on the cutting board, put your hand on the handle, and then put the edge of your blade on the honing rod and, 3 pennies. Let's try 3 pennies of of an angle away from the honing rod, right? And then just
drag
pull it down.
You're kind of doing like a cello motion.
Yes.
You know?
Pull it down each side.
You do have some imagery in your guide,
yes.
on your chef's knife guide, which we will link in the show notes, that really does show how
there
to
are
do
lots
this.
of gifts.
Yeah,
there's
gifts.
so many gifts.
Okay, so even though a honing steel only hones, it doesn't sharpen, you definitely still need one in your knife set because you need to use it every single day.
Yes.
Okay, so is it okay to use a honing steel on a serrated knife?
No.
I mean, the
Don't do it,
the
though.
truth with serrated knives, isn't it, that you kind of you can't really sharpen them, and
You
eventually
can't
you'll
really
have to
sharpen
replace
them.
them.
And it's fine because they're useful for so many years. That's the whole point of the serration.
My other knives, though, I do know need professional work because, again, it's been about 10 years and I've never, ever sent them out to get professionally sharpened before. There is a little boutique general store on my block that advertises that they will sharpen knives. And I've been really, really interested in that because it's so convenient. Would you recommend that? I know that a lot of different shops around the country have this service, but where do you recommend people send their knives off to be sharpened?
First of all, I would ask them how they're sharpening it.
Okay.
Because if they're just using like a chef's choice home knife sharpener, just get yourself a chef's choice knife sharpener because you're going to pay for that over and over again if you just send it to them for them to use that thing, like a home knife sharpener.
What would you prefer that they be using? How would you want them to be sharpening the knives?
I will only send my knives out to someone who uses a water wheel and or kurin. It's a Japanese knife and kitchen store in downtown Manhattan, and they sharpen on stones.
Okay, so then for the rest of us, Lesley,
I had to get it out, y'all.
What do normal people do?
I had to get it out. I had to get it out. If you want to send your knives to someone who uses like a home knife sharpener, great, do it. I think it is much more convenient for you to just have that thing in your home and sharpen them yourself.
If you do not live in New York City and you are not going to ship your knives to Corin here in Manhattan, any advice on finding someone locally who is doing a decent job? Because surely there are people who can do this in other parts of the world.
Definitely. Reddit, who does the best knife sharpening for kitchen knives in our area? And then you just call them, be like, hey, how do you sharpen your knives? And if they say they use stones, the thinner your blade, I think the more. But you can do both. You can use the home sharpener, and then once every 18 months or something, or a couple of years, get a new professional edge put on it.
One last question. When can you tell that your knife is beyond repair? It's time to give up, get a new knife.
If you can't get an edge on it, or it won't hold an edge for dear life, it will just not hold an edge. You sharpen it and you're halfway through a tomato and it's already dull. It's time to get a new knife.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Lesley. Well, before we wrap, we always ask one final question. What's the last thing you bought that you really loved?
It's spring. I went to Costco. Lamb T-bones, $9 a pound.
Oh.
Nice.
Fresh, red, oh my God, I get 2 packages. I wrap them up 2 per and freeze them all.
Oh, love that.
And they're delicious. I just need y'all to know that lamb T-bones everywhere else is $18 to $20 a pound. This is
bonkers.
Year after year, the deal of the century.
Okay.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Lesley, for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Kyra, I feel like we both learned a lot.
I learned so many new things.
I even edited that guide with Lesley years ago, and I still learned a bunch of stuff.
It seems like there's a lot to say about knives.
There's so much to say about knives. Okay, so what are you taking away from this episode?
Well, Christine, you know that I really do love my knife set.
Yes.
I have not been sharpening them at all. It sounds like I probably should be sending them to Corin, but I think I might just end up getting a knife sharpener for one of our guides and doing it at home myself.
Yeah, and our main knife sharpener, the Chef's Choice, it does have a setting for Japanese knives. So I would imagine it probably won't be as perfect as if you sent it to Corin or a really good knife sharpener.
But I am not a perfectionist.
Yeah, and it's going to cost you a lot less.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah.
I think it's time for me to get a new bread knife, a new serrated knife. Mine it's flat. I want one with the curved edge. And the Mercer one that we recommend is so cheap. I feel like
$17?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So I think that's on my list.
I love. Okay, we both have some really good takeaways this time. If you want to find out more about Wirecutter's coverage, or if you want to check out any of the products Lesley recommended today, go to nytimes.com/wirecutter or find a link in the show notes. That's it for us. Until next week. Thank you so much for listening. The Wirecutter Show is executive produced by Rosie Guerin and produced by Abigail Keel. Engineering support from Maddie Mazziello and Nick Pittman. Today's episode was mixed by Katherine Anderson. Original music by Dan Powell, Marian Lozano, Alicia Baitu, Katherine Anderson, Rowan Nimisto, and Diane Wong. Cliff Levy is Wirecutter's deputy publisher and general manager. Ben Fruman is Wirecutter's editor-in-chief. I'm Kyra Blackwell.
I'm Christine Cyr-Clisette.
Thanks for listening.
Am I getting too chefy when I say to supreme an orange?
Yes, you are.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.